Have you ever met someone who seems to effortlessly fit into every situation? Someone who changes their tone, their interests, even their opinions, depending on who they're with. What drives a person to become a chameleon, adaptable, flexible, yet often invisible in their own identity? For many millennials, this shape-shifting isn't just a quirk. It's a survival mechanism born from a world that demands perfection, validation, and connection, all at the same time. Imagine a child growing up in the late 1990s or early 2000s, the cusp of a digital revolution, surrounded by a world where comparisons were inevitable. Social media wasn't just a platform, it was a mirror. Every post, every image, every like became a measure of worth. In school, the same child learned quickly, to belong is to blend. If your joke wasn't funny enough, you modified it. If your style wasn't cool, you changed it. If your opinions weren't popular, you learned to echo others. In psychology, this is a form of adaptive socialization, a way to navigate complex social environments, but it often comes at a cost. The self becomes negotiable. Research in developmental psychology shows that children exposed to constant social evaluation, peer comparison, and digital scrutiny often develop what's called a social self and a private self. The social self is curated, shaped to fit expectations, while the private self, their authentic desires, quirks and emotions, remains hidden, sometimes even from themselves. It's not deception, it's a coping strategy. It's their way of answering the unspoken question, will I be accepted if I am me? Think about someone scrolling through Instagram at 15, noticing their friends getting more likes, more attention. They tweak their posts, their outfits, their personality, trying to capture that elusive approval. Or imagine a millennial at work in their late 20s, constantly adjusting communication styles depending on the audience, the micromanaging boss, the empathetic teammate, the indifferent client. Each role demands a slightly different version of themselves. It's flexibility, yes, but also a quiet erosion of authenticity. Yet there's a paradox here. Being a chameleon brings both safety and anxiety. On one hand, these individuals can navigate diverse social situations, build bridges, and survive environments that others may struggle in. On the other hand, this constant adaptation breeds internal conflict. Who am I really beneath the masks I wear? The conscious mind presents the curated self, while the subconscious may be quietly screaming for authenticity, longing for freedom from expectation. Is this adaptability a strength or a compromise? Or perhaps it is both, an embodiment of human resilience and vulnerability intertwined. Millennials, in this sense, became mirrors reflecting the needs, desires, and judgments of their environments, while sometimes forgetting how to reflect themselves. The chameleon identity, while adaptive, often leaves a lingering ache, a subtle, unspoken tension between performance and authenticity. Many millennials describe moments of quiet exhaustion, a sensation that no one has ever seen the real them. Have you ever felt that way? That the version of yourself you show the world is only a shadow of who you truly are. This is not weakness. It is the inevitable consequence of growing up in a world that both praises individuality and punishes difference. Psychologists call this identity diffusion, a state where the boundaries of the self are blurred, shaped more by external expectations than internal truths. But it's important to see the nuance. It's not entirely negative. The ability to adapt, to empathize, to read social cues, is a gift that many chameleons carry into adulthood. These individuals can navigate complex interpersonal landscapes, sometimes better than anyone else. They notice subtle emotional cues, they avoid conflict with grace, and they can bridge gaps between conflicting personalities. But the question remains, at what cost? The cost is often emotional fatigue, anxiety, and an underlying emptiness. Imagine constantly asking yourself, which version of me is acceptable here? Or if I show the real me, will I be rejected? Over time, these questions can weigh heavily, creating a life where social approval feels essential and self-approval becomes elusive. Yet there is hope, subtle but profound. The first step is recognition, understanding that adaptability is not inherently a betrayal of the self. It is a survival skill that can be tempered with awareness. Many psychologists suggest that mindfulness practices, journaling and reflective storytelling can help chameleons reconnect with their authentic desires. By acknowledging the multiple selves they've embodied, millennials can start to integrate these fragments into a cohesive identity, a self that is flexible but grounded, adaptable but genuine. Consider the metaphor of the chameleon one last time. In nature, it changes color not to disappear entirely, but to survive, to thrive in changing environments. Humans too can learn to shift without losing essence, to perform without losing authenticity. The key is conscious reflection, an inward conversation that asks, which of these versions is truly mine? Which masks have served me and which have confined me? Ultimately, the psychology of millennial chameleons teaches a delicate lesson about life itself. We are creatures of context and connection, yet our deepest fulfillment comes from the quiet courage to be seen as we are. To balance adaptability with authenticity is to dance on the edge of survival and self-realization. And perhaps in that dance, we discover that the real power of a chameleon isn't hiding. It's learning when and how to show the colors that truly belong to us.